Hello everyone and welcome to this week's behind the scenes devlog video. And this week so far I've had quite a lot going on, so I haven't really had time to do much filming yet, which is why it's already Friday. But today I have a completely free day, so I'm going to be doing lots of development and I'll film all the way through the day. So I'm just going to make a very quick breakfast now and then I will get started with the first tasks for today. So my plan for today is to add a new species into Equilinox, which is going to be this jellyfish, and I thought today it might be a good opportunity to show you step by step how I go about adding new species into the game. And obviously the first step is to create the models for the species. I've already made the main model, which you might have seen in the previous video, but all the species in Equilinox have multiple models for the multiple stages of growth. So I still need to make the model for the younger version of the jellyfish, and that's what I'm going to be doing first today. So as you can see, I've now got both of the model stages for the jellyfish finished, and the next step is to export these models from Blender into an OBJ file, which I have already done, and I then use a program that I created a while back to convert the OBJ file into a slightly more compressed file format, which is what Equilinox uses. And you can see that here for the jellyfish. Up at the top, this is where all the model data is stored for both of the stages, and then at the bottom these are the settings for the species, like what colours it can have, how quickly it grows, what AI it has, how it moves and stuff like that. And I've added the jellyfish into the game just with some default settings to start with, and you can see some of them in the water here. At the moment they're just moving around using the movement that the other fish use, but the next thing that I'm going to do today is to program a special floating movement for them. Just finished implementing this new movement for the jellyfish, and this is probably the most important part here. Basically I generate a sine wave so that the jellyfish bobs up and down, and I then change the amplitude of the sine wave depending on how deep the water is. So for example, if this is a jellyfish here and it's moving in this direction, it will move up and down like this in a sine wave, but as it gets into shallower waters, the sine wave amplitude will get smaller, so that it doesn't come out of the water or go into the terrain. And you can see how that looks in the game here. So they're now just floating around and slowly bobbing up and down in the water. Next up, I just had to do all the general settings for the jellyfish species. So that's things like its environmental preferences, its life length, and all the different colours that it can be and the relevant prices. There's actually quite a long list of things that need to be set for new species, and some of these values have to be balanced, and I play around with them and test them out and tweak them, so it always takes a little while, this bit. But I'm done with that now, and I think it's time to stop for a quick lunch break, and then this afternoon I'm going to be working on the stinging behaviour. Back to work after lunch, and first up I just created a quick death animation for the jellyfish, so when it dies you can see it kind of tips over and floats upwards. And I'm also just planning out the stinging behaviour, and I don't think it will be too complicated. I think what's going to happen is that every few frames the jellyfish will check all the nearby animals and see if any of them are within a certain range, and if they are, then they'll get damaged by the sting. So I'm going to implement that now. So to implement the stinging behaviour, I first had to create a new component, a stinging component for the jellyfish, because I'm using a component-based architecture for Equilinox. And all I have to do to now add the stinging behaviour to the jellyfish is to go into its species file, and here's a list of all the components that it has. So all I have to do now is to add stinging to that list. And if I go ahead and run that in the game, you'll see that any fish that now goes too close to a jellyfish and touches it gets stung and will take a bit of damage. And I'm also thinking of adding a trait to the jellyfish which will determine how powerful its sting is, so that you can genetically modify them to have super dangerous jellyfish. Just added the stinging power trait to the jellyfish, so as I said, you can now genetically modify it to either be completely harmless or to basically be able to instantly kill any fish that comes near it, which is quite fun. Also, the final thing that I had to do for this new species was to decide how you unlock it in the game, and I was considering having it evolve from some of the other fish, but that just didn't really make much sense because it doesn't look anything like any of the other fish. So in the end I decided to make it a reward for the fishing mastery task, which I added into the game the other week. So that's how you unlock the jellyfish, and I think the jellyfish species is now completely finished. So before I do anything else today, I'm just going to get outside for a bit and go for a quick run before it starts snowing again. For the rest of the afternoon I wanted to do some work on the hunting behaviour. Firstly, I wanted to allow predators to have more than one type of prey, because previously foxes were only able to hunt chickens, but now I've made some changes to the code so that they can also hunt small animals as well. So for example, you can see it hunting a guinea pig here, and as you can see, when they kill their prey they pick up the meat and take it back. And I also just had to fix a bug to do with the meat, where the meat model was being left in the world even when the entity had actually been removed, so you were just left with this phantom meat model which you can interact with. So I just fixed that, and I also made one more tweak to the jellyfish, which is that when a fish gets stung it now reacts and swims away as fast as possible. Last up today, I've just been working on something that I've been implementing over the last couple of weeks, which is a creative mode for Equilinox. And I've actually got two different modes planned. One is a simulation mode, which is pretty much the same as the normal game mode, except you have infinite DP. So you can buy as many species as you want, you can do as many genetic modifications as you want, and you can just try out different things with the ecosystems. And then the second mode is the one that you're seeing on the screen now, and this is basically just a world building mode. Everything that you place is fully grown, there are no requirements, nothing dies, so it just allows you to create a low poly scene. There is, however, one thing that I haven't quite decided on, and that is whether all the species should automatically be unlocked on this mode, because on one hand I don't want to limit the creative mode, but I do worry that it might then make the normal game mode a little bit pointless. So the other option would be to only give you access to species that you've previously unlocked on normal mode, but I'm really not sure yet, so let me know what you'd prefer and what you think would be better for the game. Anyway, I need to stop now. I need to go and get a train into the city because I'm meeting some friends tonight. So that is pretty much going to be it for this week. Today I'm just going to be doing the editing for this video. The update with the jellyfish isn't actually live just yet. There's still one more species that I want to implement next week before I update the game on Steam. So the update will probably come out next Friday. But yeah, next week I'm going to be implementing one more species and also continuing to work on the creative mode. And please do let me know what you think about the creative mode as well. For this week though, that is it. So thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next time.